As we approach Valentine's Day and we're near to the full moon, I don't know if it's kept some of you up at night, but it's been a brilliant full moon, which is a reminder of the presence of the feminine divine. And Jean, thank you for reminding us of one of those beautiful lights in the world, Joan Chittister. Um, And so we'll come to this practice really looking for sources, inspirations, guidance to immerse ourselves in love and drawing close to us those beloveds that really embody something that we seek to help amplify an energy, to help fill in a gap, to help bridge from a place that's not love to a place of love. Whatever metaphor you is coming up for you, work with that as we come into our practice. So I'm going to stay here for a moment in my kneeling posture, but I'm in a mountain pose, and I'll join you in a minute back at the mat in standing mountain pose. Unless you want to be kneeling on the floor, I suppose you can kneel on the floor too and join me when we stand. If you want to be in any form of a seated meditative posture, I want to come into the temple in a mountain stance. Today's practice is one where I'm going to use the heart because this has become the iconic symbol of love. I'm wearing my heart stone. And we're approaching Valentine's Day, which uses the iconic heart symbol to communicate love for other. And I'm going to use the acronym, a virtue, an inspiration that that is enfolded into love, to invite also into our practice. So the acronym for HEART is going to communicate for us hope and healing for the H, ease as a way of being present to life and circumstances. And that's what love does, is it helps us ease the incoming impressions that knock us off balance. Allow for the A, allow things to move through us without disturbance. I love the R. The R is return. Return, as Thomas Keating says, return ever so gently back to the heart in love. And then the T is for transformation. Transform whatever negative state, thought, or experience we might be holding. Just come back to that love, return to self-remembering, and let it transform our way of being. That's today's practice. That's our work. So we take our mindful pause and we bring our hands to our heart, because for me, at times, due to conditions of the world and life, I feel ill-equipped with this machine, this body, mind, and spirit, to meet what sometimes feels like the Niagara Falls of distracting thought, emotion, and sensation of the world. And so I surrender in a pause to remember that we can connect to the infinite source, that we don't have to hunt for, that it's as close as our next breath, the infinite supply of what we need. And cherishing, especially today, those beloveds that for us point toward a part of that divine resourcing. And so with grateful hearts, we begin our practice. In the name of God, the Father, the Son, the indwelling Spirit, and our Amen. God that is transcendent, God that is omnipresent, God immanent, and our Amen. Today, I invite us to hold our hands at our heart as we move to the breathe step. We've established our stop, entering into our temple. We sink out of our heads and down to our hearts where we breathe. I invite you to bring the beloved that you've chosen as inspiration and guide into your awareness as you breathe, inviting the essence of love that they brought into the world to come close to you in this practice. As you settle into being, we hear from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. No doubt we've heard these words many times, but standing or seated in your mountain pose with your beloved, connected to every breath we hear. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. These three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. Standing in mountain pose if you've been seated. Join me in mountain. And join me in mountain pose with our hands down just below the belly button. In the Eastern traditions, this center of gravity just below the belly button. Hands resting here lightly. And what we wish to do is use the imagery, the presence, the closeness of our beloved to help orient our center of gravity in love. Throughout our practice, as we breathe and move, as needed, draw the presence of your beloved close. That self-remembering, the returning of the heart acronym, returning to this center of gravity in love, with the aid, the presence, the embodiment of the love expression that your beloved brings to you. And so to help amplify now, bringing now just not the thought, but the felt sense in the body, we set one foot forward and create a stance where we can shift our body weight, because a shift is what we seek. And we trace our blessing bowl that we fill in the center of our gravity, filling the bowl with love, using the imagery of your beloved to help you feel the pouring in from the divine through your beloved into your being and landing at your center of gravity. Draw back to mountain. Hands at our heart, using Corinthians, we lift. Love bears all things. Love believes all things. Love hopes all things. Love never fails. Hands rest at our center of gravity, the opposite foot, feeling more and more anchored in love. We fill our blessing bowl with the courage, the confidence, the power to sustain this love even in the presence of those things that disturb us. Our bowl full of love and all the fruits that emerge from love, the courage, the commitment, the devotion, the protection, the tenderness, the kindness, the equality, the justice. And we come back to our mountain pose with our hands at our heart, moving through the creation breath, because we are pleading to create this into being. We stretch, love bears all things. We open up, believes all things. Hands over our heart, love endures all things. Hands open, love never fails. We stretch now between earth and sky. As above, so below. We stretch for those higher, finer energies. In breath tall, out breath into a gentle leaning. In breath, we exchange and pause in stretch between earth and sky. We arrive at the mat with our humanity, the path that each of us is walking, the sense of life and incoming impressions. And we reach for the rope, and today it's our beloved that we draw infinite resourcing from, the divine. In breath tall, out breath lean into the life and presence of our beloveds. Now we exchange in breath into out breath. A body posture that reminds us of our humanity and our stretching for the divine. And a body posture that reminds us of our preference, our leaning into that which anchors our center of gravity in love. We bring our hands to our side. We open our feet just a little wider than hip width. We soften at the knees. We shake in the arms and wrists. We give a little bounce. Let your heels land to the earth, giving a little jarring, giving a little release, a little shake. If there's any residue of negativity, disturbing emotion, critical thought, we release it. Let's take our wind and ring the temple bells. Exhale deeply, a light tapping at the chest and the kidney area. We work with this machine. This machine takes energy, and if it's negative, it can take up residence, worry, anxiety, judgment, fear, doubt. We give a shake, we soften tensions, we release blocks. And then we stand again in mountain, hands to the earth and our chin to our chest. Exhaling deeply, we release. Empty. Deep breath in. And empty and release, and then we rise. Open, hands to behind the back, knuckles, inner fingers interlaced, knuckles toward the mat, chin lifted to sky. Let's work our face here. Pursed lips, squinty eyes, rigid brow and cheeks and jaw. Take an in-breath of tension and an out-breath. Open mouth, open eyes. In-breath, tension, out-breath. And then soften and breathe into the heart. Psalm 91, be with me, Lord, when I am in trouble. Be with me, Lord, I pray. Gently release, coming around to bended knees. We roll through our foundation, massaging the feet, our anchors to the earth. The feet are very receptive to the movement of energy and taking in of energy, change direction. And so we massage and we recognize that we're connected to the earth, and she has gifts as well, giving us a sense of that groundedness, that center of gravity, the resilience and the beauty. Let's anchor into that with our hands at our knees. Let's move into our standing cat and cow. Here, breathing still, in and out of the heart, breathing the presence of our beloved and the essence of love, the embodiment of love that you wish to bring into your being. Your body, mind, spirit is translating that, each energy center from the root chakra to the crown, translating. Let's wind up through cat stretch. And as we've been praying, the sun has come out here in Bayfield. Let's do our sun breath, rise, building heat and energy that sweep through knees. In breath, rise. Out breath, sit. And you can use this as a warm up to your design. So you sit as shallow or as deep as you want to sit. Here we embody the wish that as the sun rises and moves with grace across the sky, as the moon shows us the gentle movement of time, that we embody the grace that we seek, the love that meets us in this practice from the rising of the sun to its setting, from the rising of the moon to its setting. More and more, the entirety of our being vibrating at the frequency of love. In breath, lift to mountain. Out breath, open to star. We are light and energy, and it is love that we seek. Draw hands into the heart. A version of our creation breath flow will be coming back to throughout our practice. The version of inviting love, in breath tall. Love bears all things. Open up. Love believes all things. In breath, love bears all things. Hands in front, love never fails. Let's hinge and fold into our straddle stretch. If the floor feels too far, you can do this from knee, or if you have a brick or a chair. At the floor, let's make our triangle. Base of the thumbs meet for base of triangle. Pointer fingers meet, making the point of triangle. As a reminder that we're working on the mat, integrated in body, mind, and spirit. We're breathing in our straddle stretch. We're long through the legs without locking the knees. We let our head hang, feeling surrender. Every posture, every flow, there is a balance between a working and a surrendering. Each breath, a drawing in of life, and an out breath, a letting life pass through. Breathing in the eternal, breathing out the temporal, the passing. In breath, rise to star. Working with our light, working with our energy. We bring hands to our heart and we shift, turning elbow to opposite knee. In breath through center, shift elbow to opposite knee. In breath center, out breath to hinge. Breathe and move here. Feeling a gentle rotation of the spine. Feeling a growing energy and power in the legs. And then as you feel ready, taking our hands from prayer pose, we open up into a broader twist. Hands in prayer at center, out breath open, stretching to touch the floor, and open up that opposite arm into twist. Checking in with the position of our knees, not passing our toes. Sensing into the stretch through the inner thigh and groin. Coming to center. Goalpost arms. A wide version of our good morning will hinge at our knees and hips and rise. In breath up, out breath hinge. If you haven't already, putting our feet, toes open to the corners of the mat like moon goddess pose. Hinge at hips and knees. One more lift. Out breath hinge, and we're going to stay here strong in the core, anchored at the belly, pulling in, pelvic floor lifted. In breath, stretch one arm in perimeter of the moon and pull back into the side. Opposite arm pulls through the perimeter of moon and back into body. You can stay with single arms or breathe through a couple of double arm extensions through the moon perimeter as you breathe. Drawing arms into our sides and lifting our trunk, opening to star, affirming. Arms lift. Love bears all things. Arms open. Love believes all things. Hands over the heart. Love endures all things. Love never fails. In our moon goddess pose, elbows into our side, we straighten one leg as we lengthen into a version of side angle. Here we breathe and move the meditation. Sensing and feeling into the phase or season or cycle that we may be experiencing currently, that this machine is experiencing. See it without judgment. Recognize it as a season, a cycle, a phase. Sit in Moon Goddess and breathe into moon flowers. No matter the season, the cycle, or phase, we are whole. Affirming, I am whole. Perfect in my imperfection. I ground into that center of gravity of love, letting the illumination, the guidance, the grace of my beloved to meet me in this phase. Stand, hands at our heart, more and more, embodying, lifting to the divine. Love bears all things. Love believes all things. Love endures all things. Love never fails. Open again to scar, toes perpendicular to the mat's edge. Step tall in mountain to an edge of the mat. Palms press, we pull, and we work. This is our devotion, our willingness to sustain our practices that help us with our mountain resilience, our groundedness, our effort to protect the beauty of love inhabited, embodied. Sit in chair, turn toward your beloved. Name what you wish to claim. Feel their expression of love and light in the world. Invite it to move into you. See your beloved as clearly as you can. Let the impression of their presence come close. In breath tall. Out breath open to star. We are light, we are energy, we invoke. Adding to the energy of our presence in the world, we step to the opposite side mat. I can work, we affirm. Here I am, Lord, love of life. Here I am, work in and through me. Sit in chair, turn to your beloved. Scan the body, look for resistance, look for over effort. Breathe into being. In breath tall. Out breath open to star. Hands to behind the back. Interlace fingers, lift through a buoyant heart. Breathe in what you need. Meet resistance with release. Release caution with courage. Gently release, give the shoulders a roll. Let's toe heel in and then step tall to the top of our mat. Hands at our heart, we in breath and stretch tall and mountain. Out breath, we open our hearts, we fold to the earth. As above, so below. Hinge at our knees, we anchor and we rise. As above, so below. In breath, as above. Out breath, so below. In breath, rise, as above. So below, let's stay here. Send your right foot back and plant your right knee to the mat. Forward arm at the knee to the inside of that knee, and I want there to be some tension here. Aware of tension, we choose to breathe and move in the circle. Forward arm reaches, in breath tall. Out breath, we start to open our hips and feel that sustained isometric tension here. Hand pressing to knee, knee pressing to hand. Open, we extend that arm to the end of our mat. Pause here. Feel the activation of the posterior side of the body. Feel the openness, the groin of the folded left knee, the openness into the right hip, open through the chest. And then we close that circle, hand down by our hips. We close our hips as we circle forward. We stay square till we reach to the divine. And then we open up our circle. And then close on out breath. In breath, lift, open to the divine. Out breath, fold into being. In breath, open to the divine. Out breath, fold into being. In breath, lift and open. Out breath, hand to the instep of that lead foot. The opposite arm sweeps the horizon. Rotate into twist to the opposite direction. Breathe here, stretching through our legs, breathing into body. Martin Luther King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Gently unwind your twist. Bring the lead leg back. Exchange legs, opposite leg forward. Find a stance that feels like a workable stretch for you today. Rise to that lead arm, forearm to the inside of that knee, left arm forward at the horizon. Feel the isometric work here, stabilization through the pelvic girdle. In breath, stretch to the divine and open. Let's pause here. Feel in your body the anchored arm to inner knee, the stretch through inner thigh, active through the trail leg glute, giving a good squeeze to help open the hips. Feel open through the heart and chest, and then fold and close our circle. In breath, lift and open, out breath, close. In breath, open, out breath, close. In breath, open, out breath, close. One more. In breath, open, out breath, close. Hand to the instep. Reach our arm to the front of the mat. Out breath, sweep the horizon, back of the hand, the small of the back. Rotate belly button into spine. Breathe here. Nice deep in breath. Out breath, unwind. Bring the lead leg back. Let's sit back now into a child's pose. We come like child. We fold and pause, checking in with your aim, open to receiving an inspiration, a guidance from your beloved on how you can live into love, in how you live and move and have your being today. Our third eye, our sixth chakra, our intuition and wisdom is where we're breathing in and out, open to intuition, guidance from beyond. Mahatma Gandhi, where there is love, there is life. As you give yourself, as you receive love as inspiration from your beloved, translate that by your intuition and wisdom in how you choose to live and move and have your being. Gently come out of child's pose, walk our hands forward, taking a modified plank. We lower our heart over our hands. On out breath, we lower. In breath, we rise with life. Out breath, we push through the difficult moments and we come back to that third eye in child's pose, the wisdom that is guiding us, the light that is showing us our path, the courage, the presence of love from our beloved. In breath, take it forward into this day. Out breath, lower. As above, so below. In breath, lift, opening up. Out breath, working it into being. Continue to breathe and move here, letting these postures embody what we seek, bringing the beloved into our intuition and wisdom, planting seed, moving it forward into our life, lifting and opening to the divine presence. Continue to breathe and move. Wherever you are, finishing your cycle, arrive at tabletop. Starfish hands meet at the mat. Release any unnecessary tension in the neck. Find stability in your shoulder and hip girdle. Engage lightly at that center of gravity that we started our practice, that Dantian, that center of gravity that is holding the bowl of our love. We move into spinal balance. From this center of gravity, we reach out into the world. We come back to our center of gravity to be filled up. We pour out into the world from that center of gravity. We pull back in to be resourced. Continue to breathe and move in this body prayer. Today, I'm inviting you to take in breath at tabletop, connected to your center of gravity. Today, your out breath as you extend out into the world. Let the movement of the breath be a reflection of our aim to dip deep into the well of love, to pour that out into the world, to come back to the well of love as often as needed, so that we can continue to live into meeting the world with love. Come back to tabletop. We rise. As above, so below. In breath, as above. Out breath, so below. In breath, rise. As above, we stay. So below. Let the brow land. Let your trunk rest against your thighs. I want you to find the sensation of resistance. That as you try to breathe into that center of gravity, you feel the resistance of your legs blocking movement of your belly. But then noticing the sensation of breath filling into your back. Let's breathe into the heart from the back side of the body. Carry the breath in and open up into the back side of your body, the ribs expanding backward, the lungs finding space to open up. Breathe here as a prayer that when we meet resistance, when we meet difficulty, look for the open space. Coming out of child's pose through tabletop. We bring our right foot forward. We lift into long lunge. We walk up the lead leg. This is our crescent lunge legs in honor of the divine feminine through the evidence of the and presence of the moon. Today, we're meeting our hands at the horizon, keeping our legs on railroad tracks, not a balanced beam. We're going to take and work, pulling the trail leg forward. We'll travel, fisted hands. We stay low, working that working forward leg. We reach into crescent for 4, pull, 3, pull, 2, pull, and 1. We rise, crescent lunge, breathing in the grace, guidance, grit, gratitude. Hands come to our heart. Trail leg comes forward just a little bit so that we can land our feet. Full connection of the feet. All 10 toes forward facing. Squared hips. Pyramid pose. We hinge. Hands can stay at the heart. Hands can walk down the lead leg. Hands can meet at the mat if able. Bow your head and surrender as able. Feel power even in stretch. There is effort in the legs. Drawing towards center. Hinge at the trail leg. Bring the trail foot forward to a forward fold. Hands to above the knees, hinge the knees slightly, slowly wind up. Hands to our heart, we are creating our resilience. Stretching to the divine, love bears all things. Opening up, believes all things. Love bears all things. Love never fails. Hands come to our heart. We step the opposite foot back. Crescent posture. Arms stretch in the horizon. Feel the anchored groundedness of the lead leg. Engagement of the core that allows you to start to feel light on the trail leg. Power in the lead leg. And we pull. Fisted hands into the center of gravity. Stretch and reach into crescent for 4. Pull. 3. Pull. 2. Pull. And 1. We rise in crescent and we breathe. Grace. Grit. Gratitude. Generosity. Groundedness of being in love. Hands draw down to the heart. Trail leg steps in to a stance where we can land grounded on all portions of the foot, base of each big toe, base of each pinky, base of each heel, connected to earth. Micro bend at the knees. We hinge without locking the knees into stretch. Hands can move from the heart if you like, to shin, to ankle, to earth. We bow in reverence, in surrender to the world, and a willingness to open our hearts to our beloved, to love. Hinging lightly on the lead leg, trail foot comes forward. We are rooted in presence. We rise with hope, ease, allowing, returning, and transforming. We pull to the heart. We are creating this day from a center of gravity rooted in love, lifting from our heart. Love bears all things, believes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Bringing hands to the heart. Shifting into one leg, we open up into tree. In tree pose today, we recognize the rootedness of love as being the power that helps us balance and restore and give resilience. And so we move into tree pose with a confidence that a seed planted in good soil will thrive. Planted in love today, I will bear fruit into the world. Hands to the heart, shifting to the opposite side. Rooted in love, planted in the good soil of love. I will reach out with love into a wounded world. Mountain, we stand resilient and strong. In breath tall, we stretch. Out breath, we fold with humility to earth, to our humanity. We bend our legs, coming down to the floor. We recall the fear, the doubt of the disciples in the boat. When the seas became turbulent, let's recline, let's trust in love. And Jesus appeared to them with reassurance, with a deep love that overrode despair, doubt, fear. We work into single leg boat and return. Breathe and move and let your beloved meet you like Jesus met those in fear. Let your beloved meet you with reassurance. And you can name the reassurance that you need that will help keep your heart anchored in love. If you can, fortify with double knee, double feet lift, growing more and more, strong in faith, patient in affliction, letting your beloved bring to you the peace beyond all understanding we hold. For 3, 2, and 1. Hands underneath, we recline. We do a little breathing and exchanging of knees into chest. Give your ankles a roll if that feels good. Wiggle your toes. You've been bearing weight on these feet and toes, so give them a little sense of range of motion and lightness. Let's send our hands and feet to sky and roll both the wrists and the ankles and fingers and toes. Breathing gratitude for these parts that are now expected to carry out our heart and mind's intention. Hug into the heart. Our heart, the acronym H for hope, E for ease, A to allow, R, return to our center of gravity of love, and T, allow it to transform our being. Let's plant the seed into the fullness of our surrender in final relaxation pose. And the work that we feel ill-equipped to take on, we surrender to the work of the universe, to our Creator God, to our beloveds. Breathing into now deep down through the heart, down to that center of gravity, filling your well. Trusting that we open the door for the universe, God, higher power, spirit, to meet us in our ask. We come out of our final resting pose, gently move and breathe. Take your time coming back up into a seated posture. And our hands at our heart. Our hands at our heart, the gateway into our being, into the well and our reserve, the deep well, filled now with love, aided by the closeness of our beloveds, the promise of our wisdom tradition. We conclude our movement prayer, honoring love that is transcendent, love that is in all things, love that we invite to dwell within, and love that we allow to pour through us into the world by how we live and move and have our being. Peace be with you, love be in you, and power of presence guide your day. Thanks, gang.